The voicemail came at 3 in the morning, Marin's voice cracking through my phone's speaker. "Alara, I need you. Please come to the house. It's about Finn." Then silence, followed by the mechanical voice asking if I wanted to save or delete the message. I sat up in bed, my heart racing. Callum stirred beside me. "Everything okay?" "It's Marin," I whispered, already reaching for my jeans. "Something's wrong with Finn. Want me to come with you?" I shook my head, pulling on my sweater. "Stay here. I'll call if I need you." The last thing we needed was to make this into a bigger scene than it already was. The drive to my brother's house took 15 minutes, each second stretching like taffy. Marin's erratic behavior had been escalating lately. Missed school pickups, forgotten doctor's appointments. But this was different. The urgency in her voice set off alarm bells I couldn't ignore. Their house was dark when I pulled up, no cars in the driveway. My key slid into the lock, and I stepped into silence. "Marin? Hin." A small sniffle from upstairs made me freeze. I took the steps 2 at a time, my hand sliding along the wall until I reached Finn's room. He sat huddled in the corner, still in his school uniform from yesterday, dried tears streaking his cheeks. "Analara?" His voice was barely a whisper. "I'm here, buddy." I knelt beside him, noting the empty juice box and granola bar wrapper nearby. "Where's your mom?" He shrugged, lower lip trembling. "She said she'd be right back." That was after dinner. The familiar ache in my chest, the one that reminded me of every failed pregnancy test, every lost hope, transformed into something harder, sharper. I pulled out my phone and snapped pictures of the room, of Finn's unwashed face and rumpled clothes. "Let's get you cleaned up," I said, helping him up. "Then we'll call Grandpa Graham." As I led Finn to the bathroom, my phone buzzed. A text from Marin. "Don't tell Rowan. Please. I can explain everything." I deleted it without responding. Some things couldn't be explained away, and this time, I wouldn't let her try. Graham's knuckles whitened around his coffee mug as I showed him the photos on my phone. Dawn light filtered through the bakery windows, casting long shadows across the prep tables where Callum was already starting the day's first batch of bread. "She left him alone all night?" Graham's voice was dangerously quiet. "Finn's sleeping upstairs now," I said, glancing toward our apartment above the bakery. "I couldn't leave him there. And Rowan? Still in Seattle. His phone's going straight to voicemail." Graham set down his mug with deliberate care. "This isn't the first time, is it?" The question hung in the air like smoke. I thought about the parent-teacher conferences Marin had missed, the times I'd found moldy food in Finn's lunchbox. The way he flinched when doors slammed. "No," I admitted. "But I can prove it now." Callum paused his kneading, flour dusting his forearms. "We need to call child services." "No." Graham pushed himself up from the table. "This stays in the family. I'll handle Marin." "Dad," Callum started, but Graham cut him off. "She's sick, son. We get her help, we protect Finn, but we don't destroy this family in the process." My phone buzzed, another text from Marin. "Coming to get Finn. We're fine now. Everything's fine. She's coming here," I said, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. "What do you want me to tell her?" Graham straightened his shoulders, looking every bit the patriarch he'd been since his wife died. "Tell her nothing. I'll speak with her myself." The bell above the shop door chimed. Marin swept in, all perfect makeup and designer clothes, like she'd stepped out of a magazine rather than abandoned her child overnight. "Alara, darling," she smiled, but her eyes were sharp as glass. "You really shouldn't have interfered. Finn and I have our own way of doing things." Before I could respond, Graham stepped between us. "Sit down, Marin," he said, pulling out a chair. "We need to discuss what happens next." Her smile faltered, just for a moment, but it was enough to show the cracks in her carefully constructed facade. Upstairs, I heard Finn's footsteps crossing the floor, and I knew this morning would change everything. The silence in Graham's office felt like a physical weight as Marin scrolled through the photos on my phone. Her manicured nail tapped against each image. Finn alone, the empty house, the evidence of neglect. "You've been documenting me?" Her voice cracked. "Like I'm some kind of criminal? Where were you last night?" Graham's question cut through the air. Marin's laugh was brittle. "I had a panic attack. I needed space. You have no idea what it's like being trapped in that house, playing perfect mother while Rowan jets around the world. So you left a 6-year-old alone?" I couldn't keep the edge from my voice. "Oh, that's rich coming from you." Marin's eyes narrowed. "The Baron Baker, playing mother with everyone else's children because you can't have your own." Callum stepped forward, but I gripped his arm. The words stung, but they revealed more about Marin than they hurt me. My phone buzzed, Rowan's face appearing on the screen. Before I could answer, Marin snatched it. "Don't you dare," she hissed, but Graham pried the phone from her fingers. "Rowan, you need to come home. Now." Graham's voice was steel. "Your wife left Finn alone all night." "Yes, all night." Marin lunged for the phone, knocking over a chair. "He's lying. Rowan, they're all lying." That's when Finn appeared in the doorway, clutching his stuffed dinosaur. "Mommy left because of the bad men." The room froze. "What bad men, sweetheart?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. "The ones who come to the house when Daddy's away. They make Mommy cry." Marin's face drained of color. She stumbled backward, catching herself on Graham's desk. "Finn, go upstairs." "No more secrets," Graham said. "What men, Marin?" She looked at each of us, Graham's stern face, Callum's confusion, my growing understanding. Then she crumpled into the chair, her perfect facade finally shattering. "They're loan sharks," she whispered. "I owe them money. So much money. And if Rowan finds out..." Her shoulders shook with silent sobs. I reached for my phone, already dialing the police, but Marin's next words stopped me cold. "They know about the bakery. They know everything. And they're coming here next." The spare bedroom looked different in moonlight, transformed from its usual emptiness into something almost hopeful. I smoothed fresh sheets over the twin bed while Callum assembled the old dresser we'd stored away years ago, back when we thought we'd need a nursery. "Finn's toothbrush is still in his dinosaur bag," I said, more to fill the silence than anything else. "Elara." Callum set down his screwdriver. "Are you sure about this?" Taking him in, with everything else going on. Before I could answer, Graham appeared in the doorway. "Police just called back. No sign of Marin at any of the casinos. Her credit cards were last used 3 days ago." "How much does she owe?" I asked. "Enough to sink the bakery twice over." Graham's face aged 10 years in the saying of it. "She's been forging Rowan's signature on loans, using the business as collateral." The room tilted slightly. All those times Marin had accessed the bakery's office, claiming to help with paperwork while Rowan was away. "Does Rowan know yet?" "His plane lands in an hour." Graham checked his phone. "The detective wants to meet us all tomorrow morning." Downstairs, a floorboard creaked. We froze, listening to the soft footsteps moving through the bakery. Callum reached for the baseball bat we'd stashed behind the door. "Stay here," he whispered, but I was already moving. We crept down the stairs together, Graham behind us. The security light cast strange shadows through the front windows, and for a moment, I saw movement near the register. Then Finn's voice. "I'm sorry. I just wanted a cookie." He stood in his pajamas, clutching a chocolate chip cookie from the day's leftovers. A streak of chocolate marked his cheek. "Oh, sweetheart." I knelt beside him, my heart still racing. "You can have all the cookies you want. You just need to ask. Mom says asking shows weakness." His small voice cracked something inside me. Callum and Graham exchanged looks in the darkness. We all knew then. There was no going back. Whatever Marin had done, whatever danger she'd brought to our door, Finn would stay with us. We'd protect him, even if it meant losing everything else. A week after Marin disappeared, I found the first note slipped under the bakery's door. The paper was expensive, the handwriting elegant. "Time's running out. Ask your brother about Atlantic City." I was still staring at it when Rowan walked in, his suit wrinkled from another night of searching the city's gambling dens. "Any sign of her?" I asked, sliding the note into my pocket. He shook his head, pouring coffee into a paper cup. "Police think she's crossed state lines. The forensic accountant found more forged documents this morning." Through the kitchen window, I could see Finn in the garden with Callum, planting tomato seedlings. He'd stopped asking about his mother 3 days ago. "Rowan," I started fingering the note. "What happened in Atlantic City?" The coffee cup crumpled in his hand, hot liquid splashing across the counter. "Who told you about that? Does it matter? What aren't you telling us?" His laugh was hollow. "You want the truth? Marin and I met at a casino. She was working as a dealer, running a side scheme with some dangerous people. I thought I'd saved her from that life when we got married." The bell chimed as Graham entered, his face grave. "Detective called. They found Marin's car at the airport." "Which terminal?" Rowan reached for his keys. "That's not all." Graham's eyes met mine. "The loan sharks left a message. They're giving us 24 hours to pay, or they're taking the bakery." My hand instinctively went to my pocket, feeling the weight of the note. "How much?" 800,000. Outside, Finn's laugh floated through the window as Callum showed him how to pat down the soil around a plant. Everything we'd built, everything we'd protected, balanced on the edge of a knife. "I can get it," Rowan said quietly. but I'll need help from my old contacts in Atlantic City. No. The word came out sharp as breaking glass. We're not trading one devil for another. Then what's your plan? He demanded. Because in 24 hours we lose everything. I pulled out my phone, scrolling to Marin's last text message. The one I'd never shown anyone else. The one that said, I left something for you in the safe. The combination is Finn's birthday. I'm sorry. The safe's contents spilled across Graham's desk. Casino chips, a flash drive, and a handwritten ledger detailing every transaction Marin had made. But it was the photograph that made my hands shake. Rowan at a blackjack table, passing something under the table to a man I recognized from the local news. A crime boss. You knew, I said, my voice barely steady. You helped her set this up. Rowan stared at the photo, his face ashen. It's not what you think. Then explain it to the detective. I reached for my phone, but Rowan grabbed my wrist. You can't. They'll take Finn. Like you took him from me? Marin's voice cut through the room. She stood in the doorway, designer clothes replaced by jeans and a worn sweater. I trusted you to protect us, Rowan. Instead, you made deals with them behind my back. Graham moved between them, but Marin wasn't finished. Tell them how you promised to launder their money through the bakery. Tell them how you used your business trips to move their cash. I did it for us, Rowan's voice cracked. To give you and Finn the life you wanted. The bakery's bell chimed downstairs. Heavy footsteps approached. They're here, Marin whispered. I led them here because they need to see. Show them the ledger, Rowan. Show them what you really are. Callum burst through the door. 3 men just pulled up outside. They're carrying. The windows downstairs shattered. Finn's scream pierced the air from the kitchen where he'd been helping with the morning bread. I moved without thinking, pushing past everyone toward the stairs. Rowan tried to stop me, but I twisted away. You don't understand, he pleaded. If they find that ledger. My nephew is down there, I snarled. Your son. But you wouldn't know anything about putting family first, would you? More glass broke. Smoke began curling up the stairwell. They're burning us out, Graham said quietly. I looked at each of them, Marin's fear, Rowan's guilt, Graham's resignation, and made my choice. I grabbed the ledger and flash drive. I'm getting Finn. The rest of you? Do better. I turned toward the smoke-filled stairwell, clutching the evidence that could destroy us all. The bakery's kitchen filled with smoke as I reached Finn, huddled behind the industrial mixer. Through the haze, I could see 3 shadows moving through the front of the shop, overturning tables. Stay quiet, I whispered, pressing the flash drive and ledger into his small hands. Remember the secret door Grandpa Graham showed you? The one to the alley. Finn nodded, clutching his dinosaur with one arm. Good boy. Go now. Run to Mrs. Chen's shop next door. Don't look back. As he slipped away, I grabbed a rolling pin and faced the approaching footsteps. The first man rounded the corner, his face obscured by smoke. Where's the ledger? His voice was surprisingly soft. Burning, along with everything else. I gestured to the flames licking up the walls. He laughed. You're lying. Rowan's sister, right? The Baron Baker playing mommy. The rolling pin connected with his jaw before I registered moving. He stumbled back, cursing. Something warm trickled down my arm, blood from where I'd caught it on broken glass. Then Callum's voice cut through the chaos. Police are 3 minutes out. The man straightened, touching his jaw. Doesn't matter. We'll find it. No, Marin stepped through the smoke. You won't. She held up her phone, recording. But the FBI will find you. I've been working with them for months, documenting everything. A sharp pain doubled me over. At first, I thought I'd been hit, but this was different. Familiar from years of fertility treatments and disappointments. Elara. Callum was beside me instantly. I'm fine, I gasped, but another cramp seized me. Not now. Not after 8 weeks of cautious hope. The man's radio crackled. Sirens wailed in the distance. This isn't over, he warned, backing away. Yes, it is. Rowan emerged from the smoke, holding a gun. My son is safe. The evidence is safe. And you're finished. As the men fled and emergency vehicles flooded the street, I clutched Callum's hand. The baby, I whispered. I think we're losing. No, he said firmly. We're not losing anything else today. Through the settling smoke, I saw Finn safe in Mrs. Chen's doorway, still holding the evidence that would save our family, and I prayed Callum was right. 6 months later, I stood in the rebuilt bakery kitchen, watching Finn decorate cookies with careful concentration. My hand rested on my growing belly as the morning sun streamed through the new windows. Is Mom really coming home today? He asked, not looking up from his work. Yes. But remember what Dr. Santos said about taking things slowly? He nodded, adding another perfectly placed sprinkle. Like when you and the baby were sick, but now you're better? The memory of that smoke-filled day still haunted me, but both the baby and I had proved resilient. Just like the bakery. Just like our family. The bell chimed. Marin stepped in, looking smaller somehow in her therapy-approved day pass clothes. Her eyes found Finn, then dropped to my belly. You're showing, she said softly. 24 weeks. I touched the spot where the baby had just kicked. Would you like to feel? She hesitated, then stepped forward. As her hand met mine, Finn spoke up. I saved you a cookie, Mom. The dinosaur one. Tears welled in her eyes. It's perfect, baby. Rowan appeared in the doorway, his face uncertain. The months of supervised visits and family therapy had changed him too. The flashy suits were gone, replaced by someone more genuine, more present. The FBI finished their final interviews, he said. The case is closed. It's really over. Graham emerged from his office, flour on his apron. Not everything's over. Some things are just beginning. He handed Marin a spare apron. Not forgiveness exactly, but an invitation. A chance to be part of something honest. I don't know how, she whispered. None of us do, I said. We just keep trying. Callum brought out a fresh tray of bread, filling the kitchen with warmth and possibility. Finn proudly showed off his cookies, explaining each design to his mother with the patience of someone who understood second chances. As I watched them, I felt the baby move again. Another kick, another reminder that family isn't just about blood or perfection. It's about the choices we make every day, the healing we choose over hurt, the love we build from broken pieces. Some wounds would take longer to heal than others. But here, in this kitchen, surrounded by the scent of fresh bread and new beginnings, we had all the time in the world.